know,
Oh,
yeah, who has access to it.
okay. No, it's fine. We will check, Bra King.
Okay.
Namtla, are you still assisting the chair? trying to get in. It has been seconded by Ms. Tlomelang. Any objection?
No objection.
King, as long as it's according to procedure, I'm happy. But we must just make sure this is procedural. And I understand it is just a temporary measure until the chairperson be able to connect. But as I say, as long as it's procedural, I'm happy.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Kruger. Procedurally, if we have an indication that the chairperson is not available, then we'll have to elect an acting chairperson. But now the proposal came due to time to say the chairperson is struggling to connect.
I understand it's
the
just a temporary
IT
measure
person is just indicated to us that she's trying to move around, and on the same time, time is going out. So hence there was there's this proposal, which then it does not fall far from the procedure. So the proposal is that let the Honorable Jacob stand for chairperson. Once the chairperson is in, then the matter, everything will go back to the chairperson. But now the proposal came to are we all in favor? Say the chairperson is struggling to connect. The IT person is thank you. Indicated to us that very much she's trying to move around, and on the same time, time is going out. So hence there is this proposal, which then it does not far.
I see the chair is
There's the
here, so we
chairperson.
don't have to.
The proposal is that.
So welcome, Chair.
Okay, then let's send the chairperson. Once the chairperson is withdraw the proposal because the chairperson is already on, and then we'll let chairperson start the meeting. Thank you very much, honorable members. Are we all in favor?
Before we start,
Yes.
Should lose signal again. If the chair should lose signal again, could we then let the proposal proceed that parties continue with the meeting, because we understand that there's signal.
Yeah, I don't have any problem. I think it's in order. Comrade Honorable April, you were saying he can proceed there because already have adopted, ne? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi, Chairperson. Can you hear
Yes.
me? Chairperson,
Yes.
while you were struggling to connect, there was a proposal that we let Honorable Jacobs to chair the meeting, and then it was seconded by Ms. Tlomelang, and then the Honorable Kruger raised to find out whether is it procedural. Then I did explain to say, because you are available, it's just that the problem of connection, we are not far from the rules. The rule says if the chairperson is not in the meeting, not available, then we have to elect an acting person. So we had members that agreed to that. So when you came in, then there was a further proposal to say, should it happen that we lose you, can the stand to say Honorable Jacob can proceed with the meeting, acting on your
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I think it's in.
Any objection to that, honorable members? Are we all in favor?
It's in order.
Thank you.
In order.
Chairperson, we'll give it to you then now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, honorable members. This electricity program. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You can check.
The agenda is before us. I won't read it. Everyone can see it. Mine will be to deal with item 1, which is welcoming of the honorable members and giving the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of today's meeting is to consider the amendment of 2020 budget vote of our department report. So it will be presented to us and then we will have to adopt it in terms of the rules. It's our mandate as the portfolio committee to do that. So without any waste of time, I will invite our official to do that on our behalf. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just come in here before we adopt the agenda?
Yes. Yes.
Maybe the words is not 100% correct. Let's say tabling and considering of an amendment 20. Is it not the amendment of the 2020 budget vote report? Change the and
Correct.
to the 2020. I mean, otherwise it sounds like we amended bill.
Correct, Honorable Kruger. You're an old croc. Our officials are there to can advise.
Thank you.
Come again. I'm sorry.
We'll correct that.
Yes.
We'll correct that.
Okay. With that correction, Honorable Kruger, can you adopt the agenda?
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable.
Yes, with that correction, I propose that we adopt the agenda as
Brilliant, 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 my son. Any seconder, honorable members? Honorable members, any secondment on the adoption of the agenda?
Chair.
Honorable
Thank
AP
you.
I do
has
second.
seconded, Chair, and Honorable
Yes,
Miller.
it has been seconded. Thank you. Now we zoom into the first item where I'm inviting our officials to table the report before us. I don't know between the two who's tabling, whether it's Boo or you, King.
Chairperson, I'll request it's Mr. Kumete who will table the report for us.
Okay.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Gumede, our content advisor, can you table the report before the committee?
Okay, Praking, I thought you will do the apologies, or there are no apologies.
Okay, sorry. It's myself who's doing that mistake because I'm now in a hurry with my son Kruger. Are there any apologies, King?
Chairperson,
Do we have any apologies?
I've got
Yes.
I've got an apology of Honorable Zungula.
Okay.
Yes, and then we do form a quorum because all members are in except of I think Mr. Langa is standing for Honorable Babalo.
Okay.
So apology was only for Honorable
I'm
Zungula.
also in.
Honorable
Okay,
Babalo.
Honorable Babalo is also in.
Yes.
Honorable Babalo,
Yes,
let me take this opportunity during this apology period. I will accept the apology of Honorable Zungula because it is in black and white. Let me acknowledge your presence in the portfolio committee. We should have done this yesterday. You had a problem of connection. It's our culture that we acknowledge or receive our member in our portfolio committee. This is a portfolio committee of members with big brain. I believe you will enjoy working together with us. So I saw you yesterday, but I could not do what I'm doing. Honorable Member Babalo, you are warmly welcome into this portfolio committee. We will enjoy you as a young lion. We invite your constructive ideas in the portfolio committee. Please feel at home. We are yours and you are ours. Thank you. Honorable members, yes, you can talk. Honorable Babalo, you can greet us. Greet us, baby.
Thank you. Wegamele police businesses, so I vote kakuhle kakhulu, enkosi.
Although we can't hear you well,
Thank
but
you,
what
Mama.
is that you are warmly welcome. Then
Thank
can
you, Mama.
we move to the next item, which is tabling of the report? Sbu Wayos.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, honorable members. Let me try and project the report. Can everyone see the report, right?
Yes,
Tracking?
we can.
Yes.
Yes,
No,
yes,
fine.
you can see it.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
it.
Honorable members, it's a 9-page long report. I won't be long. I will quickly browse through what are the main topics covered by the report. For instance, it's divided into 6 with conclusions. On page 1, there is an introduction. And then under introduction, we have a background. We have a tabling of the supplementary budget by the Minister of Finance on the 24th of June and the link to the medium-term budget policy statement. Then on 1.3, we have implications of the COVID-19 on the mandate of the department. Section 2, we briefly look at the budget vote 36 as tabled by the department in February 2020. On section 3, we look at the analysis of the revised budget. We look at the environment and suspension of funds and the programs that were affected during this particular process. On section 4, we look at the committee observations and findings. And then on section 5, which is on page 7, we'll go through recommendations, proposed recommendations, of course. And then the last page, which is page 9, we look at the conclusion. Honorable members, in terms of what is discussed under the introduction, it's the period wherein the COVID-19 was declared by the World Health Organization as a pandemic, and then the subsequent response by the South African government, where President Cyril Ramaphosa declared a national state of disaster in line with the Disaster Management Act, and some of the fiscal response that was proposed therein. This necessitated the departments, not just the Department of Small Business Development, but all the state departments, to table provisional plans, strategic plans, an annual performance plan, including the performance indicators, the budgets, pending supplementary budget by the Minister of Finance, again, which he did on the 24th of June. I've covered this one, the tabling of the supplementary budget, which the Minister of Finance has duly tabled before Parliament on the 24th of June, which triggered again the process that we are in now, where the departments came before the various portfolio committees to present their strat plans and annual performance plan, performance indicators and budgets. And then on 3, we again look at the implications of the COVID-19. The outbreak of the pandemic has forced the department to redirect the funds. We will look at how much money was removed from vote 36. Also, the COVID-19 has forced the department to reduce expenditure initially planned for the current and successive financial years. On section 2, honorable members, this was the budget as tabled by the department in February 2020. It was expected, or the budget of the department was standing at, was standing at 2.4 billion for this current financial year. It was expected to grow to 2.6 billion or 2.7 billion and then 2.8 billion during the MTEF period. So there has been a revision. It's a minor revision, but with serious implications on the department, the entities, and the sector as a whole. So we now on section 3 look at the analysis of the revised budget in terms of the environment and suspensions of fund. Overall, the DSBB budget contracted slightly from 2.4 billion in February 2020 to 2.3 billion during the adjustment period. This was in order to cushion the blow and minimize undesirable impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on small business sector. The department and entities collaboratively established a financial stabilization mechanism called the COVID-19 Emergency Fund. This was to support struggling enterprises affected by the COVID-19. Then in terms of the table 2, honorable members, table 2, it's on page 4. This is the revised program allocation per EE program. On administration, which is program number 1, the department lost 6.4 million. And then on program 2, which is sector policy and research, this program, honorable members, it's important to note that it's been renamed. It's now called Sector and Market Development. Here, this program lost 8.1 million. And then program 3, it used to be Integrated Cooperatives Development. It is now called Sector and Market Development. It lost through suspension 16.5 million. And there was also environment of 13.5 million. And then program 4, it's enterprise development and entrepreneurship. Again, this program has been renamed. It's now called development finance. Here, there was a reprioritization, honorable members. This is clearly indicated on table 3. Table 3, it's on page 5. There was a reprioritization here of 771 million which was earmarked for the COVID-19 emergency fund. So, and on page 4, other programs of the department and entities that were affected by reprioritization or outright suspension are captured in table 3, as I've mentioned. They entail funds from suspensions and environments from the DSBD, from the entities CIFA and SIDA. For instance, we are making an example here that SIDA, through its program, National Gazelles, lost 30 million. Some of the incentives, BBSDP from the department lost 270 million. The National Informal Upliftment Business Strategy, it suffered a loss of 70 million. The CIS as well also suffered a loss of 23.5 million, while the implementation of the Township Entrepreneurship Fund has been deferred for future implementations, owing to the funds being reprioritized for the emergency COVID-19 fund. So I'm moving, honorable members, to section 4, which is on page 6, that deals with committee observations and finding. Chairperson, I will go through point by point on this one. Is that fine? Chairperson? King, am I still audible, right?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, no, I'll go through point by point. 4.1, honorable members, it's an observation, or the committee is noting that the coronavirus pandemic is affecting small business in a variety of ways. The portfolio committee is conscious of the disruption that the pandemic has caused on the targets and budgets of the department, as well as entities, and detrimental consequences to the small business sector in general. 4.2, the committee notes that many small enterprises are struggling to stay afloat because they cannot operate under the COVID-19 lockdown. The committee is, however, pleased with overall government response and direction demonstrated by the department and entities thus far. 4.3, the role of the private sector has been critical in curbing the immediate and longer-term effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on business and industry. The committee is of the opinion that the department must remain focused, strengthen partnerships with the private sector, and do what is within its control to assist the sector financially or otherwise, including mitigating supply chain disruptions. On 4.4, the committee notes that prior to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government tax revenues were declining owing to low economic growth. Sovereign debt was increasing, state-owned enterprises were experiencing weak balance sheet, and that put pressure to the already constrained fiscus. The committee is calling on the department to balance these challenges whilst ensuring that assistance to small businesses is not compromised. 4.5, the committee welcomes numerous interventions aimed at improving the small enterprise sector, such as the creation of the COVID-19 Emergency Fund under the administration of CIFA, SMME Debt Relief Fund, Business Growth and Resilience Facility, as well as the conceptualization of the Spaza Shop Support Program. Once more, the role of the private sector players has been very pivotal during this difficult period. A number of initiatives were piloted, and the support extended to small enterprises is highly appreciated. These initiatives ought to be encouraged and given impetus through, among others, considering tax breaks to those companies actively participating on the COVID-19 interventions. 4.7, honorable members, the department's budget reduction, albeit marginally compared with other departments. For instance, tourism, you will know that they lost more than R1 billion, is still an area and source of concern for the committee. During the adjustment process, the department did not receive any new money. This is despite the onerous responsibility entrusted to the department, that of creating in excess of 11 million jobs by 2030 and to ignite the economic activity. The Portfolio Committee is noting that a supportive and well-oiled financial infrastructure is essential in the medium to long term to encourage sustainable, viable, and significant improvements in the access to SMMEs and cooperative finance. In that context, the committee notes and welcomes the drafting of the SMME and cooperatives funding policy. 4.9, as observed by the committee in February, National Treasury expenditure estimates and programs, as well as, this is what I've indicated earlier on, honorable members, that when the National Treasury presents the programs of the departments, they still make reference to the old programs, when in actual fact, in terms of the strategic plan presented during February and the revised strategic plan presented by the department during this adjustment period, they are not aligned, they differ to the policy and planning strategic documents of the department. Therefore, the strategic alignment of the plans and budget would help the department allocate resources not only efficiently, but also in an effective manner. Also in February, the department indicated that during the current financial year, it would submit the final macro organizational structure to the Department of Public Administration. The envisaged macro organizational structure would enable the department to develop a new budget structure that will be aligned to the strategic planning structure. This issue, honorable members, have been on the radar or on the table for quite some time, and it needs finalization. The department is operating on a startup structure. Then the last one, 4.10, in its several oversight activities, the committee noted with concern that almost all of the rescue funding schemes that have been made available required some business compliance, proof of business, operation, and income generation. As such, many of these businesses do not make the cut. This is one of the criticism, Honorable Member, the loan credit guarantee scheme that has been issued by National Treasury. The uptake has been very because the banks still demand this kind of information from the struggling small enterprises. Then in terms of the recommendations, Honorable Members, starting from page 7, recommendation number 1, South African economy needs a serious growth injection. The small business sector is being earmarked as one of the vital segments that requires concrete support from the state as well as from the big corporates. Budget reductions are not an option. In preparation for an additional budget review in October to be tabled together with the medium-term budget policy statement, the department needs a candid engagement with the Ministry of Finance with a view to petitioning National Treasury for additional financial resources in order to confront a number of challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. Recommendation number 2, the department is encouraged to look at efficient spending of its baseline funds and promptly identify idling reserves in order to avoid future and undesirable environments and suspensions. Poor spending on programs as well as poor spending on goods and services, which are usually a manifestation of vacant post, are typically the basic triggers and motivation behind such environments. 5.3, the department is encouraged also to intensify strategic partnerships with the private sector and actively pursue external funding opportunities for small enterprises through creating an enabling environment where possible. The department and CIFA do not have capacity nor financial resources to support millions of small enterprises that are out there. It is only through strategic partnerships that a serious impact on expanding funding opportunities can be accomplished. The next recommendation, the government kitty is dwindling, as we all know, owing to reduced tax base as large number of companies are shutting doors. Interventions such as credit guarantee scheme are some of the arsenals that DSBD and government still have at its disposal. In countries like Germany, it is estimated that the loan guarantee provision of 30% of the GDP. Then the next recommendation, 5.5, the Portfolio Committee must urgently convene a session with the Banking Association of South Africa and also invite the Reserve Bank and National Treasury with a view to getting feedback on with regards to the progress on the implementation of COVID-19 loan guarantee scheme as announced by President Ramaphosa in April 2020. The next recommendation, 5.C, the SMME and cooperatives funding policy as announced by the department must be expedited and presented to the Portfolio Committee once it has been endorsed by the cabinet. And this should happen ideally before the completion of the current financial year, which is March 31, 2020-21. Other intermediaries benefiting from CIFA wholesale funding must also be invited to come and account to the Portfolio Committee concerning how they are assisting small enterprises during this difficult period. The next recommendation, 5.7, the Portfolio Committee is mindful of the significant disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and quite cognizant that many departments will have difficulty in meeting the timelines. However, the new normal requires a new mindset. The Portfolio Committee has been consistently appraised by the department and informed that a lot of groundwork has already been covered in terms of developing the Small Enterprise Amendment Bill. In terms of the APP of the department, this is due for finalization before the end of this current financial year. So it's an emphasis here to say the bill must be referred to Parliament before the end of the 2020-21 financial year. The next recommendation, honorable members, 5.8, another critical policy issue that needs to be taken into consideration by the department as it constantly reviews its strategic plan is the organizational structure that is aligned to the broader policy objectives of the department. I've indicated here that the department is currently operating on a startup structure, and this has direct implications on the cost structure and budget of the department. It needs to be finalized as a matter of agency. As per point 5.2 above, the strategic posts in the department are still vacant, such as that of the accounting officer stroke DG, and some of the DDG posts are still vacant. Some of the chief director posts are still vacant. Again, this has major implications on the budget of the department. If these positions still remain vacant, yet they are budgeted for, they will definitely attract these kind of undesirable environments. Then number 10, 5.10, the process of amalgamating CFA and SETA must be speeded up, and the strategic plan of the department must pronounce on the institutional realignment of these two and possibly other entities such as the National Empowerment Fund. You will note, honorable members, that when the strategic plan of the department as well as the, well, I won't talk about the APP because maybe this might take longer than 12 months period. The strategic plan of the department is not making mention of the amalgamation of these two entities. But what we are saying here, we have pronounced on this issue is that it must be speeded up. This is the same recommendation we did in February 2020. Then in conclusion, honorable members, the committee notes the budgetary constraints in relation to a comprehensive response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The committee would like to commend the ministry, the department, and entities in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. The portfolio committee will also continue to monitor closely the implementation of the projects and programs as captured in the strategic plan and annual performance plan of the department and entities. Then it ends there, honorable members. So all in all, in terms of the DSBD budget, what we are saying, it declined by 2.4 billion. In fact, it declined by 67 million from 2.4 billion to 2.3 billion. The areas that were affected are goods and services, which declined by 28 million. Another area that was affected were transfers and subsidies, which declined by 39 million, which include the National Gazelles program and the reprioritization of the Township Entrepreneur Fund of 771 million. So, honorable members, I can take questions of clarity here and there where they are, but it ends there. It's only 9 pages. Yes, thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Chair.
Hello. Yeah. Our request the whip and the network to continue with the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sibusiso. Greetings to everybody. There you have the recommendations and the report. Can I just get an indication of members who wants to maybe first ask clarity-seeking questions and then also give comments? Can I just get an indication of hands? Can the committee members just help me?
Okay. Chairperson, it's on Honorable Mbele here. I'm not sure if you can see all the members on the screen there.
Okay, so I see you, Mbele. Thank you. You'll be first. Next, Kruger second. Kruger second. I got you, Honorable Kruger.
Chair.
Yes.
Can I be noted number 3?
Number 3, Bridget. Honorable Member Bridget. Is that it?
Simang.
Simang, number 4.
Number 4, thank you.
Number 4. Okay, let's take those along. Those 4 in that order. Mbele, Honorable Member Mbele, you go first.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson, Acting Chairperson, and thank you to Mr. Kumete for walking us through that. Mine are just 2 quick inputs. The first is to appreciate the emphasis on the point around the need for the finalization of the department's structure. Because that's been hanging in the air for a long time. And I think the committee must really keep pressing on that, because it has sort of cascade effects down the line around how the budget is used and the capacity of the department to implement its mandate, as well as the point around strategic partnerships, which I think the department will need to rely on increasingly in the face of lowering baselines and resource constraints. But my second input was a suggested amendment, because I think most of the content is fine and comes across clearly. But under recommendation 5.4, I wanted to recommend that we, or suggest that we amend the use of the term government kitty, because, you know, these committee reports sort of go down in history as part of the official record of this portfolio committee and of Parliament. So there is a certain sort of formality of language and vocabulary that I think we need to be aware of. Can I suggest that in place of government kitty, we use a term like the national fiscus, or just something that's kind of in line with sort of parliamentary government speak, so that when a researcher looks at this committee report in 35 years' time, they kind of don't stumble across a term like government kitty. Thank you.
Thank you. Good input, Honorable Kruger.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to make 2 recommendations added to the recommendations. But first, on 4.2, where it states the committee is nevertheless pleased with the overall government response and direction demonstrated by the department and entities so far. I think that sentence contradicts 4.10 and also the paragraph where we mention the tourism industry. I mean, there's thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of small businesses that's going to close down because of course they were wounded because of the COVID-19, but and you know, most of them have a feeling that government should have helped them much better. So I'm a bit uncomfortable when it says the committee is nevertheless pleased. I think we must just say the committee noted that government responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. That's the one. That's my observations. And then under recommendations, 5.7, I think. Let me just go there.
On page 8.
Yeah, where we say the portfolio, where we talk about the end of Parliament before the end of 2020-2021 financial year. I will propose that we change to the end of the third quarter. Because this bill or act, we are waiting for it for very long now. So I think we must pressurize the department and say by the end of the third quarter, if we can. I mean, that is my proposal. And then in addition to the recommendations 5.1.11, we need an action plan from the department to improve our ranking on the ease of doing business index of the World Bank before the end of quarter 3 of this year. And that is my, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kruger, for those inputs. I think as a committee we will engage on that. I think it's number 3 is who? Just help me.
Honorable Msimang.
Msimang, yes. Professor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I would like to add my weight on complementing the report. It's very nice, it's very concise, and it's to the point. I compliment the drafters because I've missed a number of meetings, so I can't give myself any pat on the back for this report. I don't have contributions to make, but I'm asking 2 clarity questions. The first question is, having been told that there was a loan of 500 billion rands, was there any explanation as to when will the allocations be made? Because I don't see any way that there was an allocation to the Department of Small Business. I don't know which departments benefit from that loan and on what basis. And the second question is, if there has been any help or assistance to spaza shops, I would be happy to know the detail of how exactly did the spaza shops benefit during the very difficult time of lockdown since end of March. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. Number 4. Please remind me who's number 4.
Honorable Shomelang.
Shomelang, okay.
Thank you, Chair. Can I speak without my video on because of the network? Thank you. Chairperson, let me start by welcoming the report as it is, Chair. And further indicate that as I welcome the report, I want to say that, Chair, we must all agree that this pandemic opened our eyes. And we must commend the department for the work they have done, Chairperson, because nobody expected it. And when you look at the observation, you look at the findings, you look at the recommendation, I think the department have tried to do all their best, and they have tried to accommodate all the issues that is affecting society. Chairperson, I want to speak more specifically on observation 4.2. Chairperson, the one that was raised by Honorable Kruger. Chairperson, I still feel that as the portfolio committee chairperson, we are pleased. What we can rather say is that we are pleased with what the department has been doing. What we can say is to say that we request them to improve. because it's a work, it's a continuous work, Chairperson. So I don't think we need to say that we need to delete. I think the recommendations still need to sit as it is, but our technocrats, Mr. Zbu, will then have to help us to put the word to improve, because really, indeed, we can see what the department is doing, Chairperson. My other point, Chairperson, while I'm saying I'm pleased with the work that is done by the department, Chairperson, when I was looking at the presentation, I've came across the point where there was an indication that there is an creation of an emergency fund. So my point will be, we must agree that all the programs have been affected, but there is a plan of the emergency fund, Chairperson. So what we can say is that we need to encourage our department to continue to do more and support our department, because if we feel that our department has not done enough, Chairperson, we will be very unfair as the portfolio committee. Through all this, everybody's being affected, even individual families. But we can see what is our government doing. So I do support the observation and the recommendation as it is, Chairperson. I also want to be more emphatic on the amalgamation of SEFA, both SEFA and SEDA, Chairperson. I think it's long overdue. We don't need to be hard on ourselves. As much as we are the portfolio committee, we are doing the oversight, but where there is work that has been done, we need to comment it. We have been long raising this issue of amalgamation, and I'm very happy that the recommendation is very clear to say that all other entities like your NEF, National Empowerment Fund, we must look at them and then we must try to incorporate them so that our people, we can reduce the burden that our people are experiencing, especially small businesses and cooperatives. I do support the report as it is, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Hlomolang. Let me take the next round of hands. Can I get an indication?
Honorable April. It's Honorable April, followed by Honorable Matulelo. Chair.
Okay, in that order. Honorable
Thank you
April.
very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much to the department. Chairperson, a ship at sea during a storm needs more than just. Can you hear me? A ship at sea during a storm needs more than just the captain. It needs the whole crew to take collectively to throw out the water that may fill up in the boat in order for that ship to return to safe harbor or to safe waters. I want to commend the department for the collective efforts that they've done in order to try and assist and bring the ship to safety and weather the storm. Chairperson, I must say that the minister, her team, and the departments and the entities have done sterling work as far as the work that they've put in is concerned. We cannot take away from them that we are all chartering, sailing uncharted waters. Chairperson, I must also say in the same breath that we do acknowledge that there is indeed room for improvement that the department can do in some areas. But this report should be, without a doubt, accepted. And I want to add my voice to those that say we adopt the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hein. Honorable Babalwa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes, welcome.
Oversight. Or Artambo, sorry. Or Artambo Umtata, Joe Kadima Plata, Obeni, or
Honorable Babalwa.
hear me?
We can't hear you. I suggest you put the video off and maybe that will save data and then maybe the sound
Yeah.
will be clearer. Try again.
Do you hear me now? Do you hear? Hello?
It's still a bit unclear. Can you try again?
I'm clear now.
Yes.
I'm clear now. Thank
Please
you very
proceed.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, yes. Let me start by rejecting the report. I reject it on basis of when we come to oversight visit in rural areas and some of the regions as like Chokra, Umtata, they are street vendors and there are people that are small businesses that are benefiting from the small business development budget. Also in Mount Fletcher, the wards there in rural areas. Also in Alfred Jinzo, Pizana, Mount Freya, and Matatiel. I suggest when there was a budget that was allocated to go around and do awareness on the spread of COVID-19, there was if they get the opportunity to these regional appointment, there was not even that, but was allocated awareness. So if it was directly used for the small business to apply on how, because all the sponsor shops, I can mention them, they are not, they didn't benefit even the projects in these rural areas, what aid in total, even baker that closed. Because more of them, they don't know how to apply. Was like I was going to the department, they said in Tata, they take the list, but they are not, there's no tangible of doing these things. So I suggest that you must do things differently. That is why I'm rejecting this our people. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Babalwa. Your rejection of the report is noted. I hand over. I see Lorraine, Honorable Member Lorraine.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me also welcome the report, Chairperson. To my side, I am happy with the work done by the department. I therefore support this report. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you much, Honorable Lubango. Can I get an indication? I think outstanding members would be Honorable Hendricks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I'll support the report.
Thank you very much. I think with those, let me just check, is our chairperson, Honorable Siswela, in still, or can I give to respond to the Honorable member? Okay, Maybe I'll hand over you to Mr. Gumede to respond to some of the inputs.
Thank you, Acting Chairperson. Can you hear me, right?
Yes, we can continue.
Okay, Acting Chairperson, just a quick one before I respond. In fact, there is not a lot to respond to. I just want to put up just one sentence that I've inserted on the document, right towards the end of the document. I just want to put that up quickly. Saying one thing that I've inserted here on number 6 is that the portfolio committee accept or do not accept the proposed adjustments. I've noted a member from the EFF which has rejected the document. So I thought I should put this thing up, Chairperson, Acting Chairperson, just to indicate that this is the minor changes that I've inserted on the document. Honorable Mbele, I welcome your input. Kitty, you are right. His name. I will. Honorable Kruger, I will include the action plan that we are proposing with respect to the ease of doing business. Indeed, under observations, there was a talk of the difficulty that small enterprises are experiencing when they approach the big banks. I will include that under the recommendation. Then number 4, Honorable Msimang, the 500 billion rand was actually announced by the president. I did, for instance, indicate in my presentation that there was no new money allocated to the Department of Small Business Development. Instead, there was a reduction of 67 million rand, which really affected the budget. And we are making a recommendation around that particular issue, that the department will have to have a candid discussion with the Ministry of Finance. Maybe also on our side, we also need to do our part, like engaging the Standing Committee on Finance to mobilize for more funding to be directed to the department, because if you look at the responsibility that has been placed before this department, initially, even the initial budget was way too low. The assistance to spaza shops, how many spaza shops have benefited from the CFA funding? Nwabisa, I'm sure you're still here, and Braking, this is one of the areas that we need to include as part of our oversight, perhaps during the 4th quarter. I would propose that we do it during the 4th quarter, because we don't necessarily have this information as to how many spaza shops have benefited, which area, etc., etc. Okay, another one. I think those are only 3 that I was supposed to respond to, because others really is to support the report. They acknowledged some of the observations, areas of improvement or amendments in the report. I will do that. So I think that's all, Acting Chairperson. I'm not sure if there's something that I've left out, maybe that I was supposed to respond to. Members will guide me.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Gumede, for those responses, and I think it's well captured, and it does represent the inputs that many of the members have. I'm glad that we can record those that support and reject the bill. So what I'm picking up as the chairperson, if there's no further inputs, I just need to ascertain the support. I'm picking up that Al Jamar, each one member do support the bill. I'm picking up the IFP, sorry, my apologies, does support the bill. That's one member. I'm also heard as the ANC, its 5 members support the bill. So can I just get an indication from the
Sorry,
DA?
Chair. Sorry, Chair. Just a correction. It's not a bill, it's a report.
Yes, my apologies.
Report, yes.
Thank you. The report. My apologies. I think I'm in the house now, so my apologies. The report.
Chair, if I may come in just on that point to segue from Honourable Kruger, because it will impact on the content of the reports. So I think I can speak for my colleague and I when we say that we have no issue with the report itself, but we do have to state for the record, because as members of the Democratic Alliance on the committee, we don't carry a voting mandate when it comes to the budget votes. So we must please state for the record that the DA reserves our rights when it comes to the budget votes itself, because that must still be caucused. Yeah.
With all of those, we can say that as the portfolio committee, I'm not sure, do we have to formally vote, or based on the indication here that we, as this portfolio committee, adopts this report? Can I get guidance from the committee members?
Sorry, Acting Chairperson, before you move on, there's a hand of Honorable Matulelo. Honorable Babalo.
Honorable Babalwa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Do you hear me? I'm standing on my behalf and my colleague TK that we reject the report. Thank you. As an EFF, we stand to reject.
No. Your rejection is recorded. If you look at the committee member in the revised report, he did indicate in the report there. It says EFF rejects the report. The DA reserves its right, and I think what will just happen there is that the portfolio committee accepts the proposed adjustment report. So that will be the final report. But your rejection is noted. Thank you very much. Honorable Mr. King, did you want to come in here?
No, Chairperson, I think I'm fine as it has been adopted by the committee.
Okay, members, if that's all settled, then I just want to check. I think we have dealt with all the matters of the day, and then the meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much.
No, Chairperson.
Bye-bye.
No?
Chairperson, there's still a second item where it was the consideration of the third term.
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, my apologies. I don't see the agenda. My apologies, members. You're not yet released. Can we get the committee member just to share the proposed program for the committee? Who will be doing that?
Chairperson, I'll request that Mr. Gumede take us through what we've constructed, and then the content of it, it's more on, can be able to guide the committee.
Hello, King.
Hello, Chair.
King.
Yes, Chair.
Are you done? Are you done? There is poor network. Not yet.
We are now going to the second.
Chair, we're just going to quickly do the program, and then we will release members. Please, I ask Chair States, please stay in. Mr. Sibusiso Gumede, if you can just quickly take us through the suggested program.
Braking, can you put it up?
Yes. Do you see it?
Let me see. No, it's not showing yet. It's not up yet, Braking.
There you are. Can you see it?
No, Braking, your technology is letting you down.
But I've put share here and then there it is. You see it?
Okay, now we see it.
Oh, now it's showing, yeah.
Okay.
Now it's showing. Okay, no, it's fine. Honorable members, this is the proposed third term committee program. When is it beginning, Braking? On the 5th of August, right?
Yes.
Okay. On the 5th of August, the proposal here is to invite business partners. As members, you may be aware that the Sukuma Relief Program is being handled by business partners, and as one of the entities that falls under SEFA, a portfolio committee has a responsibility again to play oversight over a business partners. So the view is on the 5th of August is to invite them to come and do a presentation specifically on the Sukuma Relief Program. We need to know how much money was received, how much money has been disbursed. We need them to guide us in terms of their the challenges that they are facing, where the portfolio committee might be able to assist, or where the department might be able to intervene in terms of making sure that the poorest of the poor or the struggling small enterprises are benefiting from this particular fund. The other one that we are inviting, honorable members, the Paramount Foundation. Here we are interested in the role of the foundation in easy access to finance for SMMEs and co-ops. They are also beneficiaries of SEFA under the wholesale finance program. What is interesting here, similar with a Small Enterprise Foundation, is their incorporation. The two entities are corporatized as a non-profit companies, stroke NPOs. So it would be very beneficial also for the members to understand their business model, because if they are not profit-making entities, what exactly is the modus operandi? It's also good for the members to understand that over and above the entities corporatized as private companies, SEFA does extend this kind of funding to these NPCs. So it will be more of an oversight on our part, and also to learn how these two entities are helping small businesses. The next one, Braking. Braking.
Yes, Bo.
Can you go up?
Okay. '12th of August.
Okay, on the 12th of August again, honorable members, what we have decided to do, looking at the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the small enterprises, we have decided that the theme for the third term committee program will center around the issues of access to finance for small enterprises. As a result, again, on the 12th of August, we are inviting at least 3 SEFA wholesale intermediaries to come and account to the portfolio committee on their credit lending models to small enterprises. Particularly the area of interest here, honorable members, would be around the rate of interest that is being charged to small enterprises, because there are complaints. These entities are getting their money from SEFA, sometimes on 13% to 18% interest rate, and then they on lend to small enterprises. They also put their own markup when they on lend to small enterprises. So this one is very, very important for the portfolio committee members to understand how exactly this on lending model is being done to small enterprises. On the 19th of August, honorable members, perhaps we just need to amend there, because initially we had said we'll invite Banking Association of South Africa to come and present the progress in terms of implementing the COVID-19 loan guarantee scheme. But now there is a view that over and above IPASA, we should also invite e-Reserve Bank and the National Treasury. So on the 19th of August, there is a plan that we invite them to come through and do this presentation. Also on the 19th of August, we have learned now, after the Department of Small Business Development has tabled their strat plan and APP, that what used to be called the National Funding Policy, the name has now been changed to SMMEs and Cooperatives Funding Policy. So we also here planning to invite the Department of Small Business Development to come and present this SMME and Cooperatives Funding Policy. It's due for completion before the end of the current financial year, but I thought perhaps if we could invite them while the policy is still being developed, it would afford members of the Portfolio Committee an opportunity to make their contribution in terms of developing the policy. The last one, honourable members, was to invite the CBDA to CBDA stroke Prudential Authority. Prudential Authority is an agency of the Reserve Bank to understand, just one up, Braking, yeah, to invite a Cooperative Banks Development Agency and the Prudential Authority, an agency of the Reserve Bank, in their capacity as the custodians of the cooperative banks and cooperative financial institutions. It would be good, it would benefit members of the Portfolio Committee to understand what these two agencies are doing in as far as the cooperative banking sector is concerned. The next one, Braking, on the 26th of August, the plan here is to invite SEDA now. On the 26th of August, we are shifting now from, we'll be shifting from SEFA to SEDA. With the SEDA, we plan to invite SEDA beneficiary incubators, all those incubators that have been funded by SEDA, at least 3 of them, again, to come and do the presentation or to account to the Portfolio Committee, you know, in terms of what they do, their economic sectors, their contribution to economic activity, number of incubatees that they have assisted to date, number of jobs that have been created by incubatees. We need to understand challenges and opportunities that are faced by those incubatees. So we plan to invite at least 3 incubators to come and account to the Portfolio Committee. How much money have they received from SEDA? What have they done with the money? The economic sectors, what do they do? What is their contribution, overall contribution to the economic activity and the number of employment that they've created? Then the last one, honorable members, on the 2nd of September 2020 would be to consider the quarter, is it quarter or quarter 1 performance report of the department and entities. Thank you, Braking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
We propose that the members do accept the talk, or they can put some addition to it. Thank you.
I just want to. There's someone saying Chairperson. I can't see.
Chairperson Kruger.
Kruger, yes.
Honorable Kruger and Honorable Langa.
Okay, in that order.
Chairperson.
Myself, Chair. And Bridget.
Okay, so it's Kruger, Langa, Hendricks, and Bridget in that order.
Well, Chairperson, I don't have a problem with the program. It's just the date. According to the programming committee, constituency time is from the 3rd to the 17th of August. So I don't know how this is going to affect the program, the date specific. If they maybe just change the dates accordingly to the 3 to the 17th August, that it's constituency time, apparently, according to the.
Thank you. I think all of the members have that concern. So thanks for raising that, Honorable Kruger. Can we ask the committee to make the revised amendments? But I think there's broad agreement to that as a principle. Let me check with the other members.
Honorable Langa.
Honorable Langa.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to colleagues and the department officials. Maybe one, before I make my input, I'd like to apologize to the committee. Maybe I'm a bit less active in the committee. My mother has been tested positive on COVID, so she's been in the ICU for like 5 days now, and everyone at home has tested positive. 2 of my siblings, a young child, and the nanny. So it hasn't been an easy 2 weeks for myself. So hence maybe my less activity on the committee. Coming to work on the program, the proposed program, I would like to suggest, I think it's the last week of August, whereby Mr. Gumede said they will be inviting about 3 incubators to inform us on how they have worked. Maybe I would suggest maybe the number say to be 5. Say invite 5 from different provinces, because we need to get the feel across the country. You know, if the small businesses is really reaching everyone across the country. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay. Honorable Langa, just to say on behalf of the committee, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and we wish your mother and your family a speedy recovery. It's not easy, but I want you to just to remain positive, and as the chair would say, my son, be positive, and we will all pray for you. So this disease is affecting all of us. We are losing, and we are all in this together. So our solidarity and love is with you and your family. Thank you. I think who's the next member?
Honorable Tlomelang.
Honorable Tlomelang.
No, thank you, Chair. In fact, I'm covered by what you said, Honorable Jacobs, when you said the committee need to revise, to make the amendment where it is necessary, looking at the programming committee, because I think we are all in agreement. But where it is necessary, I think we need to revisit and make amendment, Chair. We summarize it properly. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Tlomelang. Honorable Hendricks.
Yeah, we just want to endorse your message of support to Honorable Langa and wish his family everything of the best. And like we say in Afrikaans, sterkte during this difficult time. Honorable Chair, I also want to latch on to what the Honorable Member has said about the incubators. If they can increase it to more than 3, that will be welcome. However, Honorable Chair, we would like before the meeting just to get a report or an indication by email of what incubators there are in the 9 provinces, if any, so that we can prepare adequately for that meeting, if it's possible.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hendricks. That's a very important point. Member, Mr. Gumede, do you want to respond?
No, Honorable Chairperson. No, it's for noting from me. I will definitely amend the number from 3 to 5. we'll definitely make contact with USIDA to get a list of all the incubators that they've funded in all the provinces. Then from there, we'll select maybe around just one from each province to come and appear and make a presentation to the portfolio committee. Honorable Langa, our prayers are with you, my leader. Hey, this thing, man, it's bad. Yeah, that's all from me, honorable members. I'm assuming the program as it is, it's accepted, except that we need to change the dates to align them with the program of the parliament. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, if I can summarize, I think there's broad consensus on the content of the programs, and thank you to the committee members for what looks like a very good comprehensive program going forward. We just want you to align it to the constituency week and revise the dates. And we're also just looking at the incubators to get all of that. So with those amendments, I think we have broad consensus on that. Honourable members, I think that concludes the business of the day. And if there's no other issues on the agenda, I want to call on all of you to be safe, stay safe, continue doing your constituency work, but advocate for our people to remain safe and all the protocols. So we wish you well, and the meeting stand adjourned.
Mr. Jacobs, yes. There's a hand from Honorable Matulelo Babalwa.
Okay, Babalwa. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry for raising hand after, because I was trying. My concern was about, or I was about to suggest that in whatever, or in this thing of accountability that was raised here, that it should be designed. Maybe if there is this thing of COVID-19 and there are people that are subjected, even SIDA or SLIFA, they have given a task to allocate some monies to other small businesses and all entities and whatever it is. It must not be like we come here and say it should be, they must come and account. It must be in a document that they do this and they account. They must know that. I think they must. It must be aligned. They must go together. That even if they are given this task, they must do. It must be a part. Not that we come after they have looted wrongly monies and doing wrong things. I'm suggesting that. Always we must do, this thing must go together. The accountability and the program must go together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member Babalwa. I think we note your concerns. I would ask committee members to just help the new member with just some of the orientation and induction so that we can look at the program. I think part of the scheduling of the next quarter will be helpful around programming, and I agree with the member that we will ensure that when it's quarterly oversight, that we keep the department and the executive authority accountable on all of the key performance indicators. But I think there is I think, member, if we can, with those inputs, we can close the meeting. And I again want to thank everybody and be safe. I hope there's no further hands, and the meeting stand adjourned.
Okay. Thank you, Acting Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Bye.
Bye, Malubengo.
Bye-bye, King.
Bye-bye, Prof.
Bye, King.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye, Tonsi. Okay. It Tonsi. Siqebile ngoku masambeni.
Meni. Honorable Mieni.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you're right.
So right.
Hey, what happened? Hey.
Kanti busolo kuphi ngakuboni.
No, you not shedding.
Oh, ibuyile igesi manje.
Buya ugesi sengiyangena.
Okay, sesiqedile.
Oh, seniqedile.
Yeah.
Oh, siyabonga.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kube ngcono ke ngizwile ukuthi nawe ngathi uthintekile.
Hayi ngithintekile kodwa hayi no ku right.
Okay. Yeah, no langa naye uthi uma wakhe nabanye lapha bathintekile.
You?
Yeah.
Hayi lento isibambile man.
Yeah, no nibe safe man.
No siyabonga King.
Okay ba. Mr. Dodo.
Okay, Tonsi.
Uthumele lezi zinto.
Yeah, thumela nje immediately. Alfumena?
Kusele ini?
Yeah.
Kusele ntoni?
Ithumele ilento yokuregister.
Okay. Yiyo kuphela bekumele ithumele.
Yeza.
Okay.
Zayithumela ngesundu.
Okay. Namhla?
Unamhla uphi unomtha?
Oh, sewuphumile unamhla. Okay, ku right ke.
Yeah, sihambile. So ke Tonsi, so.
Okay, sharp.